Hello, everyone. Oh, Jeffrey, you're there. Perfect.
Hey.
Right on
Kind of in a weird
time.
spot.
Yep. Let me just move you up a little bit. I don't know how you move down like that. Okay, there we go. So how's it going, Jeffrey?
Hey, it's going great. We got more Alliance Wars. How could I not be in a good mood?
Same here.
Right?
I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad we could make this happen on
Yeah.
such short notice. You know, those with me going away very soon.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be going away soon. So yeah, no, I agree. I'm glad that we have the games and we can get this done.
Yeah, definitely. So we're playing against Wolfpack and Polish forces today.
That's right.
Wolfpack, of course, being a very known good team, and I must say, a lot of people on the Polish team, like Damien, for example, I play a lot. Phonic is in the stream a lot. Also seen Red Dragon, so a lot of names that we have definitely heard of before, and familiar with. Far Tartar as well, Jim Bob as well. Yeah, big names that we have here today.
Yep.
Oh, let me turn up your volume a tiny bit. Okie doke.
All right, thanks. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. As the master manipulating all the strings behind the scenes, there's a lot to take care of.
Absolutely there is. Yep.
All right, let's have a tiny look at the bracket here. All right, so we are now right in the middle, at the bottom bracket, Spec Ops match L11 against the Polish forces. Polish forces beating Red Alert previously. Not bad. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I wonder if Oaken was in there. Mustn't have been, right?
I don't believe he was playing for Red Alert Turkey, but I remember looking at that roster and thinking, like, they're a pretty solid team. So for Polish forces to take them out, that's a pretty solid accomplishment, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. And then the winner of this will be up against the T2D Tryhards. Ouch.
That's right. Yeah, they're a pretty solid group, too.
Also, Krauts a lot is moving up, I have to say. Krauts being, my home, my original family, always rooting for them. I'm glad to see that they're going to have a nice match in front of them against Terminus Shores. That ought to be tough, though. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah, I'm in there, so I can totally tell you. Yeah, I know it's gonna be an interesting matchup. Actually, I have a pretty good feeling that we may come away victorious, but it's not a clear cut victory, that's for sure.
Indeed. All right, and I think today our first game is going to be Cool Hand against Phonic. Is that right?
Excellent.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
The map is going to be Hold the Line, a good map. I'm a fan of this map.
It's a great tune too.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into our first game of Alliance Wars. I'm ready if you're ready, Jeffrey. What do you say?
Yeah, let's kick this off.
All right, let's go.
All right, here we go, everybody. Game 1 of Alliance Wars featuring Polish forces versus the Spec Ops Wolf team. Here we go, and we're featured here on Hold the Line. The decks here are pretty different. It's Inferno versus APC, and usually the APC is not happy about that. The Inferno deck we're seeing here is a pretty standard meta choice, actually.
Ooh. And snipers to back up the APC. I mean, you don't have any riflemen, though. You have no starter. You're running Talon, and you're running APC. And snipers. I think that's a very peculiar choice to go.
Unit ready. Very much so, yeah. I mean, the snipers are obviously going to pair up with the Pitbull, right? That's the idea here. And I guess the rest of the units, like Talon feels a little bit awkward, I guess, because you have Pitbull and APC. But, hey, the Cool Hand, he's probably played this deck a bunch of times. He's probably got something to show us with it.
Yeah. Uh-oh, here comes the Chuggy, and he's only sitting on infantry, and we know that Pitbull doesn't do a great job against Chuggy. Ideally, he wants to get out that Orca. And now the missile's about to fire.
Ooh, yeah, that Chuggy doing some real damage, clearing up all the infantry on the field. A big loss there for Cool Hand, and he does need to protect those 50-cost snipers. And Phonic here getting a pretty easy onto the pads as there's nothing really to block it. So the Chuggy's just going to clear up these missiles. He's going to have just a little nice time here out on the pads and takes missile number 1 as a result.
Yeah, it's a very weak early game against Chuggy, man. Pitbull doesn't cut it, and Orca's too far away. And before this deck really stabilizes, and when you come out with APCs, it's just, the Chuggy deck is so cheap and effective and progresses so much faster. Yeah, it's really, really hard to do.
Well, plus Cool Hand didn't really back off the snipers, right? Like he just
Yeah.
kind of let them get
Exactly.
eaten up by the
Yeah.
Chuggy. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, feels bad to be them.
Yeah, it is an acquired skill to be able to concede a missile.
That's right. You're not wrong, actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that. People are thinking, what? But actually, it's true. You need to know when to concede the missile so
Yeah.
that you don't overspend
Yeah.
on trying to win it. So,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's bad enough you lose a missile. Why throw away snipers as well?
Exactly. Well, Cool Hand making a pretty good response here. He's got the Pitbull on the middle pad, Pitbull on the bottom as well. Of course, not going to win against the lasers, but he will be able to solve the missile just for a bit longer. That said, the Bikes and the Chuggy are a bit of a liability with their low hit points, and here we go. Boosted missiles get on the pad. We see a missile flip. Nice.
Aww.
All right, Cool Hand makes his way back in, taking missile number 2.
There you go. Some sneaky, clever plays despite deck advantages can always turn the game at a quick moment there like that. I'm glad we're going to see a third missile
We
here.
haven't even seen Inferno or APC, right? Like,
Yeah, I know.
Neither of those units is in play, so
Yeah.
it's been a
Yeah.
5-card deck for both players.
I mean, Phonic is super happy to just play Chuggy Laser because it's just so cost efficient, right?
Exactly. Okay, well, speaking of that, Phoenix got his first Inferno out on the field, and this allows Cool Hand a pretty easy response. Unfortunate there, he doesn't really have anything to protect. He's got those single lasers there, but the Chuggy and the lasers on the bottom just aren't going to get the job done. So nice, he gets the Bikes in position really quickly here. The Inferno moving down to the bottom. Again, not in the best position to try and contest, but you know what? Cool Hand's not really giving him a hard time either. So here we go. Missile number 3. Who's going to take game number 1? It's looking great here for Phonic, and there it is. Of course, the Pitbull just couldn't make it onto the pad. The blocking from the Bikes and the Chuggy were just a little bit too much, and Cool Hand falls short.
Yeah, talons are that you have to use aggressively are really hard to do.
Oh,
They're just not
yeah.
great on offense. They
Not at all.
hold their own on defense, but he had to push onto pads with talons and then back them up with pitbulls, and that was just a tall order. It was just too much to do there.
It was, and it looked like Phonic was really throwing the Inferno out to the wolves there because the double Talon came in hot, right? And there wasn't much there to back it up, but of course Talon, even though it is a very effective unit at its cost, the problem is it's a 30 cost unit, so in terms of its stats and how much damage it puts out, it's not going to clear Infernos really quickly, and the 2 Talons were definitely a big threat, but at the end of the day, it wasn't difficult for him to back off the Inferno, protected down on the bottom pad, and even though I wouldn't say it had huge impact on the game, because by the time he made it, he already had the Chuggy out, right? And that was enough to clear out the snipers, so didn't really need it, but yeah, I mean, at the same time, I guess it took away from what Cool Hand was doing, and still worked out pretty well there for Phonic.
Yeah, and the deck is just also really expensive. If you're going triple building, and then with the cost increase to APC,
Yeah.
snipers are also expensive. Yeah, it's just kind of a greedy deck. Maybe it works in some games, in some leagues, but here it was just a little bit too far reaching.
Yeah, I didn't even see the APC come out, which
No,
kind of
yeah.
feels bad, right? I mean, I don't know if there's a good spot for it, but still, yeah, that's why you play it, right?
Yeah, and he never really had the money. Like I like to see APC as a stabilizer. If you make that out and you use that to fight your lasers, then you're already in a very good position, and it stabilizes an already solid winning game for you. That's kind of
Exactly.
like it seals the deal, so to say.
That's right. Yeah, 100%.
All right.
All
Our
right.
next game is going to be on, let's see, Scorpion Tail, round 2.
Okay.
Cool Hand versus Phonic. Let us go.
Excellent. Let's do it. All right, folks, here we go. Game number 2. And of course, Phonic goes up 1 game. He is 1-0 currently in this series. And if he wins this next game, well, that's going to put him on the back pedal here. As Cool Hand, it is a best of 5. So if he loses this, that could be match point. But here we go. We're starting off with a bike rush. That's wild. You don't see that too often.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and unfortunate. Not going to work out, it looks like.
Yeah. But it's going to be a nice and classic, honorable bike rush. I love the integrity, right? This is the greatest integrity that Rivals has to offer. A nice, solid, honest bike rush. Or
That's
bike
right.
mirror, I'm sorry, bike mirror. You love it. It really just comes down to micro.
Well, exactly. It's always interesting watching the bike mirror and who comes out on top. And you see here, actually, one important distinction is that Cool Hand did not target the wheels at all. But look at this. Both players opting to go without the Harvester. I mean, it makes sense, right? You have these really fast, aggressive units, and you almost feel like you can just win based on that alone. Of course, not in the long game. I highly expect we're going to see a player pull out a Harvester really quickly. But look at this. I mean, Cool Hand went into his Hand of Nod. He decided to build infantry and lasers to try and counter this. Phonic, he's just staying in the War Factory. I mean, he's got a 5 War Factory deck there, and might work out for him as here we go. Missile number 1 coming down to, he just needs to get the block on those lasers. Of course, the wheels will go down eventually, but doesn't matter. It's not timely enough, and there it is. Phonic takes missile number 1 again, and there's the important Harvester that we talked about.
Yeah, I think that while you gain an advantage as being the first person to tech switch, right, when Phonic is running around with wheels and bikes and he gets lasers, the thing is, you have so many units, you have so many wheels and so many low squad bikes that all add supportive damage, so then it doesn't really matter if you're taking an unfavorable matchup, because they're just not going to push through all those units in time, and then you can sneak in a missile without having to tech switch yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And well, look at this. So Cool Hand has built the air tower, which very surprising. I mean, he is so far away from Inferno. I don't even think he's ever going to get there. Maybe it was a misclick. Maybe he meant to go Harvester, but now Phonic pulling out the Giga Cannon, his win condition, and Cool Hand is really wishing he had that Inferno end. Well, yeah, enough said, right? Phonic just takes the game.
Yeah, being behind, if you don't get the first missile and then you decide to commit to no Harv, right? You have a little bit of an advantage, but that advantage evened out because they both no Harved. Yeah. I think the tech switch was a mistake. He should have just commit to the solid, honest bike rush, bike war. That would have been great.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, the number one thing to do there is really just as soon as you've lost the bike rush, like it's not going to work, then you just cut that plan short and you immediately go back to harvesting, right? Like that's what you should do. And I agree with you. Building the Hand and Nod there was a big misplay.
Yeah. You just need to know when to, when to lick your wounds, when to retreat. That's a big part of this game that we still see a lot of players have not yet mastered.
It's true. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's an intense game, and you wanna keep pushing, but hey, yeah, sometimes, like you say, you got to back off. So, well, okay, so that puts up Phonic 2 games now, and that was a pretty decisive victory as well. If I'm Cool Hand, I don't know. I'm thinking, geez, do I even have a shot in this? This could be it. It's hard to say.
Well, let's see. We're gonna do game number 3 on Fortress.
Off
we go.
Cool. Let's kick it off.
Establishing battlefield control.
All right, everybody, here we go. Game number 3, match point for Phonic, and we see a change in faction for both sides. So it's going to be a totally different deck, and okay, Cool Hand going back to that APC sniper deck, and Phonic here pulling out his own. It's actually Suzaku APC that he's playing, which, interesting. I don't know if I would... It's probably better in this matchup because of the drone swarms, and the fact that GDI just has a difficult time dealing with them. I mean, Talon's okay, but it's slow. Pitbull is a little bit faster, but again, it could be a problem. So, I don't know. I think Phonic's got the advantage here. What do you make of this, Soldier?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, the turret is pretty good on this map, right? Isn't there a very nice offensive position for the turret right there on the middle pad? Because, this whole map is about the middle pad. Yeah, that could push him ahead here. Yeah.
Okay, well, Phonic here getting a little bit of an early start here, dealing up with these dogs, but Sniper's coming in now. Cool Hand with the dogs. Actually, he's not running APC, my mistake. He's running a totally different deck here. I should have pointed that out. But here we go. Can he get... Oh, he does get off the pads. A single dog there. The absolute MVP of this first missile. And Cool Hand, making his way back into the series, takes missile number 1.
Yeah, I should have gotten out his dancing shoes there, and then he might have gotten it.
Yeah, or maybe a 2-step.
Yeah, or maybe a turret. A turret would have been great. All of those things would have saved him here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and actually, so just to talk about the deck, he's got Jump Jet, Snipers, Dogs, and Pitbull, so he's not running APC at all. It's a lot different, and he's running Solomon, so I guess this is like a different form of Reb Solomon, but it seems worse to me.
Yeah, definitely. But, Jump Jet's great on this map, and the Talon also great against the drones and Orca that will then contest the Jump Jets and on these pads. I think he kind of did his research when he made this deck for this map.
Okay, well, speaking of jump jets, they're coming out, getting some damage on that Pitbull, nearly clearing it. One more shot to go, and these snipers left out open, getting eaten up by these drones. Very unfortunate, as they cost 50, very expensive. And of course, with Solomon, you do want to have some money in reserve, and yeah, it doesn't look like Coolhand's really going to get there, as he's spamming out these air units. Orca now coming out, of course, with double Pitbull. This is a big problem. It's only going to clear one of them, and then the second Pitbull's going to be free to chase it. But actually, instead, Phonic split up his Pitbulls, so he's decided not to go after it. Now he's finally getting there. It doesn't look like it's going to reload in time, so now the turret coming down as well. Just going to get a little extra damage. Didn't really need it, though. As well, Phonic comfortably takes that second missile.
Well, it looked a little sweaty, but he got it at the end. That turret could have come down way earlier. Those Pitbulls could have focus fired. But, you know, he still had it in the end, so it's still okay. But then, and then, as I said, you can see here the power of that turret on this map. He could have even dropped the turret while the Orca was chasing the Pitbulls, and then surprised him with it. Would have got him down very quickly.
It's a bit underrated, right? Like, Strong Arm, of course, these days after the nerfs, not as amazing as it used to be. But on the right maps, like especially like maps like Canal Row, for example, it is just superb. And on this map, I have to agree, it's doing quite well.
because all the battles happening over these 5 hexes in the middle where all the units fly over it, and then if you just pop up a turret while units are moving by and they're unexpected, you get sneak in so much damage.
Well, speaking of damage, look at the Strong Arm turret coming out a little bit early. I'm not sure if it will be ready in time for the missile and might have to stall just a little bit, but the more important feature here is that we've got APCs coming out, and you'll love to see that. So this APC, of course, it will get chewed up by the jump jets, but that means the missiles are going to be left behind, and of course, we know jump jets cannot deal with infantry at all, leaving them there to just sit on that pad for a long time. And here we go, Drone Storm's now getting at the snipers as well. Turret coming down just to block the Talon. What a great play that was. And here we go, can he get onto a pad? Solomon coming down, but it's not going to matter because, of course, the missiles are going to pop out, and that's going to be game.
Yeah. Damn. I think Cool Hand did a valiant effort, had a very valiant effort there, but the power of Strong Arm, man, that really turned around that game.
It helped a lot. Yeah, well, and the other thing that I noticed Cool Hand doing, he spammed a lot of Talons and Orcas, especially when he built Orca into 2 Pitbulls there. It was just like, no, you know, that's not a good idea, right? Because 2 Pitbulls will clear up the Orca, and they'll come out ahead on that. So there was just a few things there that Cool Hand did where it seemed like he played into Phonic's hand a bit. And, well, I mean, sometimes that's the way she goes, though. But I have to agree with you. The deck choice he made there, it seemed pretty good. Like, the jump jets are a great choice because of the rocks in the middle. Just unfortunate that he couldn't overcome Phonic at the end of the day. But yeah, you know what? Good series either way.
I think one of the critical choices that he made at the end was deciding to Iron Cannon an APC, where you know there will be a unit left over. He could have Iron Cannon the middle pad. Yeah, all right, he loses his unit, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. Or just try to get the jump jets or something, right? But yeah, that was kind of actually that was probably a last minute kind of panic Iron Cannon. I get that. I do that all the time.
Actually,
too.
you make a good point. Like, he could have targeted the left pad, and there was a possibility he beats up the Pitbull, gets onto the pad, and stalls for a bit longer.
Yeah, or gets.
I'm pretty sure the top pad would have cleared anyways. So
yeah. Or you try and get only a side of the pad and hope the enemy doesn't react in time. Yeah, but being able to focus in those last minutes instead of just doing stuff out of panic, that is, you know, that separates the boys from the men here in Rivals.
Absolutely. It's hard to do. It really is. I mean, you're making so many decisions per game, it just gets real intense.
Yeah, and they're all snap decisions because this game is so fast-paced.
Exactly. Yeah,
okay, so our next game is going to be Ramen against Red Dragon.
Ooh, fantastic. Excellent.
Oh yeah. All right, let me bring up those games. Here we go. Our first map is going to be on Neutral Zone. And I'm ready.
Oh, I hate Neutral Zone.
I hate it too. I hate it too. Oh, let's hate it together.
Yes, let's do that. I think everybody can join us in that. But okay, here we go. Next series, and of course that does pull up Polish forces up 1-0 between the two teams, so that's very important. But here we go. We're here on Neutral Zone, seeing Ramen versus Red Dragon, and it's going to be Giga versus Tic Tank. Interesting. I mean, the Giga seems like an auto win, but what do you think?
Not on this map though, right?
Right. That's what I was
you only control one pad. And, I mean, but on the other hand, yes, you know, Tic Tank is great for holding pads, but Giga is great at killing Tic Tanks, especially with the 2 range, right? I don't know. Like, it's I'm not gonna predict this one. I've been wrong
Yeah,
so
it's
many
hard to
times. This one's too much of a wild card.
All right, well, Ramen trying to get some aggression on the Harvester. Not able to get there, of course. It's very easy to defend against Harvester pressure here, as all he has to do is build a few bikes and away we go. So that's what he's doing. Ramen, and not really much charging going on either, which doesn't really matter too much for either deck. It's not like we're seeing a tech unit here or anything like that. So really, the fact that we're, you know, almost a minute into this first missile doesn't really matter too much. But having said that, here comes the first Tick Tank, and I gotta say, getting Tick Tank out early is really good.
Yeah. Like, even if it's not necessarily the right unit to make, the fact that it's just so tanky, it'll almost always secure you the first missile.
And look at this. Of course, we see the bikes get onto the top pad. The boosted laser trying to shoot through it, but look at how much damage that Tick Tank is sustaining. It is absolutely disgusting. It almost has as much hit points as a Mammoth tank when it's burrowed. So absolutely gross. But here we go. Now Giga coming out from Red Dragon. It's not going to be timely enough. Those lasers aren't going to clear the bikes either. And Ramen takes missile number 1.
The thing that Red Dragon could do, though, here is if they're not going to be fighting for pads because of this split, he might just go for the Harvs of the base, you know? What is Ramen going to do if he has a Giga that's charged up at his base? The Ticks will be a hard time to defend them there.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of that, look at this. Giga getting some pressure on the Harvester, and Ramen really trying to respond with these Banshees, but the Banshees are so lackluster. Look at that. Just flying over the rock. They took just a few shots from the lasers, and they were done. Oh, look at this. The Harvester going all the way to the other side as well. Oh, I love that. And you know why? It's because of the bike positioning. See, like, Ramen was trying to pressure it, and he left it in the hex where it was going, so it just rerouted to the other side of the map. That's wild.
Oh my goodness. This is very wild. Harvester's trying to get on the pad, and it can't.
What is going on in this game? It is just amazing. Okay, so we got Tick Tank burrowed on the bottom, and Red Dragon looking comfortable on the top pad as well. This Tick Tank, even though it might be able to get onto the pad, it doesn't really matter too much. The Seth Drill Pod actually could be important, because if the Tick Tank clears the Stealth Tank in time, well, then that means he's got the pad. But either way, Red Dragon does take that second missile.
Yeah, now here we're seeing what I hoped would not happen. Yeah, you just boost the Giga, and the Tick is kind of defenseless, especially if it's on its own. You have to
right.
babysit the Tick so that it doesn't get down by a Giga. And the whole idea about Tick is that you can just set it and forget it. You know, you don't want to have to do that.
That's right. Yeah, against a Giga player, like the Tick Tank has to be mobile, and you know,
Yeah.
the problem is that your decision, you're hooped either way. If you move it, it's just going to die faster. If you don't move it, it's just going to die a little bit slower. So you're kind of hooped either way. And look at this positioning on the Giga. It is in a great spot here, especially with the Stealth Tank to back it up. Doesn't even really necessarily need that for the Banshees, but it is going to be very important, as he needs to clear them pretty quickly. That said, though, of course, now it's being left open just a little bit, and it might not clear the Tick in time. Oh, it's so close, but yes, it did. It actually did manage to get there. And the Banshee will get one more shot off, clearing that Giga cannon, which is really important. But again, you know, Ramen not really competing here for the pads. These Banshees just not getting the job done at all. Bikes, Stealth Tanks, and lasers are clearing them out of there, and that is going to be game. Red Dragon taking that first game.
Ouchies. Yeah, I think that game could have been stalled a little bit, could have been turned around a little bit. I think what would have needed to happen is when the drill pod came top, he would have to focus on that pad, right? Because rivals players always try to get, I'm going to lose the missile. I need to get both pads. I'm weak on both pads, and I'm going to weaken myself further by now trying to go get onto this other pad where I'm less represented. You should have just consolidated where the Flamers were, because the Flamers had picked off the lasers, but then the bikes got in, because he was still trying to pressure bot with the Banshees. You should have just focused on holding that. That'll stall the game, and then you work your way forward, because he had a Harvester, whereas his opponent was running dry. And that would have been, if you paid attention there to that key factor there at that end of the game there. So he could have
he was broke.
Yeah, he could have turned it around that way. But it's, you know, there's just so many temptations, there's so many habits in this game, and that's one of them, and that's really hard to do. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right. It is tough. Competing for one pad, just stall the game for a little bit longer, and you know what? You might end up winning the second pad too. That's probably the better way to go.
Yeah. And like when you play Tick Tank against Giga, and you know, this happens to me because I do play Tick Tank sometimes, you kind of just have to forget that it's a Tick Tank. think of it think of it as a regular tank, and then fight Giga as you would with a regular tank. Meaning, weaken the blocker with flamers, then move in with the tick together, and then try and get it before it charged up. But if you just leave it there, burrowed against a Giga that doesn't have to move up because of the range, then it's just over.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and the other thing is like no Kane, right? Like Neutral Zone seems like a great Kane map to me, so I was a little surprised not to see that, especially against 2 ranged units, because their positioning does put them in range of the Kane towers. So I think had he chosen to play Kane with Tick Tank there, he might have had an out, but it just seemed like he didn't have enough tools to get the job done at the end of the day, right? Like the Banshees were just so lackluster. Even though they're a good unit in terms of their role, they're a flyer that can shoot down and up, like that sounds great, but it's a 30 cost flyer, and it just doesn't have a lot of stats to back that up. So
unfortunately,
that just wasn't getting the job done.
Banshee does not fill the role everyone needed it to.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
It would have. All right, let's see how their luck pans out on tide pools in our second game.
All right, game number 2 between Red Dragon and Ramen, and Red Dragon up 1-0 so far, which I gotta say, looking pretty good for Polish forces. You know, they won that first series 3-0. Now Red Dragon's up a game. Yeah, I mean, looking pretty good here, but there's lots left to go, so we'll see how this all pans out.
Yep. Good old, I love this deck, this Snob deck. It's very powerful, a lot of fun to play. Once you get out that buggy tank, it's costly, right? Because you always open infantry, and then you open, because you have no T2 infantry, you open buggy next, and then by the time that tank comes out, the missile's almost fired, so you kind of have to stall a little bit. But if you manage to pull that off, it has a very powerful presence on the pads.
It's also great against the Chuggy Inferno deck, right? Because the tank just stomps the Chuggy and the bikes early game, which really forces you to get into Inferno in order to answer it. But generally by that point, you're so far pushed back that you might not be able to respond in time, especially with the expense.
Yeah. Now these bikes, they're just gonna get wrecked. If you can learn how to weave with the tank, where you have a unit in front of it that you just weave in, get a lock on, move back. Tank's such a great unit.
It totally is. So this tank here doing a little bit of work, clearing up almost all the bikes here, but of course, Red Dragon really needs to get onto this pad here. Boost the rifle. No! Doesn't matter though. Ramen doesn't get the block on the lasers, and these boosted rifles chew up the lasers very quickly. Venom does come forward, and we do have a buggy there actually chewing up the Venom on the left side, but then our buggy, even though it does shoot up, does take a lot of damage. Light's movement there with the Scorpion tank moving it off the pad, so retargets against the buggy, leaving that Scorpion tank just around a little bit longer, but finally, the Venom does clear up the rifleman on that bottom pad, and that is going to give Ramen missile number 1.
Yeah, this is kind of like, it's a version of Venom Shade, which is so popular. Venom and Banshee will take down the tanks together, and we'll take down the buggies then. And then the tank that Red Dragon had became more of a handicap, which is why I think he lost that missile there. Yeah, the tank.
It was interesting because the tank looked real good, but then all of a sudden, once the Venom and the Banshee came out, I was like,
exactly. Because they're such cheap units, and they fly, so like the map control that you gain with the tank gets you nothing.
So, of course, Ramen now getting his own Tick Tank out. This is great for him and kind of where he needs to be. But against an Inferno deck, it's sort of like playing against Giga, where, the Tick Tank's just going to be twiddling its thumbs while it does absolutely nothing. And right here, it just sat there taking full damage from those lasers, now getting cleared, pushing Ramen back off these pads just a little bit more. And now with Inferno coming out, Red Dragon's bought a fair amount of time. He just needs to be able to clear a pad here. The Phantom, though, I don't know if it's going to be good enough to hold. He does get an Inferno out in time. The Inferno's going to reload. Oh, I thought it might have got the double shot there, but not quite. And here we go. The Inferno's going to try and get a double shot of its own. Can it do it in time? Oh, look at that. Ramen doesn't move the bikes or the wheels in time. Absolutely brilliant move by Red Dragon there to target both of them, even though Ramen should have tried to retarget him. But either way, here we go. Can he get the Banshee back onto the pad here and start charging the missile once again? So there he goes. Lasers coming on as well, but he just needs to get the block on these bikes. Is it going to be enough? It is. All right, Ramen makes a comeback, winning game number 2.
Amazing plays though, like with that Inferno, like weighing that decision. Should I move off the pad, risk losing the missile? But if I don't do it, I'm not going to get the double kill. I won't clear it, and then it did. And then while multitasking on the bottom pad, so that he's preoccupied and then can't move it out. That just lined up in so many ways. That was great. That was
There was a
fun.
lot going on there. I mean, part of it must have been that Ramen was distracted on the bottom pad, right?
Yeah,
Or sorry,
yeah,
Red
yeah.
Dragon was distracted on the bottom pad, and he wasn't paying enough attention because you could see his response to the Inferno. Like, it was I mean, the Inferno doesn't move that quickly when it's fully reloaded, and it was just slowly inching its way
Yeah,
to that
yeah,
hex,
yeah.
and then it was like, hey, you know, maybe, like you say, I'm going to get both of these units. And yeah, sure enough, he manages to pull it off, and that's just, you know, a showcase of how crazy this game gets. Like, even though it was a 2-pad map, I mean, he was trying to contest for both of them. And, you know, like you said earlier about contesting for 1 pad and then trying to stall it out, that's kind of what he did there, right? Like, he did a better job of that at the end of the day. So it was, yeah, you know, there's a little bit of a loss of focus, I would say. That was part of the reason it worked out. But you know what? You can't ever bank on your opponent being 100% on top of everything. So
Yeah.
it was just a really good play and a good
Yeah.
opportunity, and it won him the game. So really good stuff.
A new strategy that I've been going about recently is trying to get a read on where my opponent's focus is in specific situations,
yeah, okay.
like this right now. If you just like take your perspective back a little bit, and then you have 2 pads where you need to do 2 things, and then you think, where is he focusing? Okay, so let's say you're being blocked top, and then you keep, you spam click and you're not getting on. And then you start to preoccupy him with another unit somewhere else, and then if you notice that he responds there, that is your split-second moment to then once again try on that top pad, because you notice you shifted his focus. Yeah, that is some next level stuff that I've been,
That's some pretty sweaty stuff, yeah. For
been
sure.
thinking about. All
Yeah,
right.
no, that's a good point, though. Yeah.
Our next game is on one of the most famous Rivals map. Love it or hate it. I personally love it. It is open water. Let's go, baby.
Control.
All right, here we go. Open water, and yeah, I gotta agree with you. It's a great tournament map. It just, well, I mean, for 2 range decks, obviously it works very well. But then, of course, you can play Inferno, which is a good counter to Giga. So it's one of those maps when you're trying to decide what deck to bring. It's a real tough choice, because here we see Red Dragon. He's brought Giga Cannon, which,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. Maybe you scout out your opponent and you figure out that he never plays Inferno, so you're just like, you're never worried about it, right? And in this
Yeah.
case, it's gonna work out for Red Dragon. I mean, Giga on open water against APC,
Ugh,
his only
nightmare.
real threat there is the Orca.
Yeah.
Well, I'd actually say the Solomon Iron Cannon, too.
Yeah. Do you know what Pathlagun does to me when we play on open water? He just double harves and Iron Can spams me. Yeah, when I play
rough.
MLRS or something. Yeah, and it works, right? And
Yeah,
like,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and it can work here too. If you just have that much disposable income to Iron Cannon whenever there's a Giga, whenever you need it, it could work. But I think
Right.
he has to actually make that second harvester. Probably not thinking about that.
All right, well, Red Dragon getting his first combined Zarm out, the Flames and the Bikes, which, of course, is going to do pretty well against these Pitbulls, but I'm a little surprised to see these Riflemen pop out. Not sure what the idea was there. He's sending one of them. I guess he just doesn't like Riflemen. He wants them just to die, so there they go, getting absolutely destroyed by those Flamers. And here, the Bikes aren't going to clear up the Pitbull quickly enough, so these Riflemen do get in position to start chewing up these lasers, which is really good. But that said, nice move from Red Dragon to pull over to the far left pad. The Drone Swarms are going to stall things a little bit longer, but no! Oh,
Wow.
So close. Ramen just needed a split second longer to push the Rifleman onto the pad, and he would have stalled for just a bit longer. Don't know if it would have won him the missile, but well, there it is. Red Dragon coming out on top.
Yeah, and I was just about to say without Giga. And then it comes out. So the Giga,
Right.
it's like Beetlejuice. You just should never mention its name.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Yeah, and here it is. So Giga coming out, and of course, this is a good spot for it where it can reach all 3 pads. Of course, it only has 2 range, so it can't reach the far 2 hexes on the left side. But that said, I mean, it's so easy to protect it because the pads are close together. It's so easy to just stuff units in front of it. You know that blurb from Blade? I make Giga. I put unit in front of
Yeah.
Giga. I charge Giga. I win. You know, like, seriously, that's kind of what's going on
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
And you see that the Orca even tried to threaten the Giga, but it was very easy to pull it back, allow the stealth tank to clear it out, and now Red Dragon's on the back foot. He's trying to spam these drone swarms. He's going to go to the far right pad. Of course, it will hold for just a little bit longer. Bikes aren't the most amazing counter. It takes 2 full volleys to clear them out, and even there, you start to see the bike bug taking place. But can he hold on for dear life here? And let's see. It's not looking good. Nope. The Red Dragon just going to comfortably take it with a very strong deck choice.
Yeah, Giga open water, just too powerful, man.
Yeah, I mean, he had outs with Ion Cannon, but, well, he's never going to get there. He spent too much money on drones.
Yeah.
So-
But even, like, there's very few situations where you can really beat Giga on open water without very secure, reliable hard removal, like I don't know, Jade, or okay, I say Jade, but if there's a Cloud and Jade, right, then it can be done.
Sure, yeah.
Can be done.
Oh, yeah.
I remember many tournaments ago, I practiced with Peter slash 54188 for hours on open water. Yeah, where he said, play Giga, and I'll the deck that he plays with Predator and Liang. I'm gonna play my deck because I want to play my deck, and I think I can beat Giga. And he played Borka back then. We played for hours.
Oh, okay.
He did not win once. And he's very good on that map. Yeah, really. The Borka was always
he's a great player.
The Borka was always too late. There was always money for a stank in time, and the Giga was just too oppressive. And then because the Harvester's right behind the pads, it's so easy to move forward and pressure the Harvesters. It's really nasty.
Totally. Yeah, that is the tough part, right? Like Giga, once it gets positioning, and if it's effective, you just get totally pushed out of the game, and it's a super feels bad, right? But
it is.
Well, that's Rivals, so.
Alrighty, next game, Sandbar.
I like Sandbar.
Yeah, I like it too. Let's go check it out.
Okay, here we go. All right, Red Dragon against Ramen, and some deck changes here again. It looks like we're going to see perhaps that Tick Tank Seth deck again. And that is the case. All right, so he's gone back to this, which, it's interesting, right? Because he's had so much trouble getting success with it before. I'm a little surprised, I have to say. I mean, on a map like Sandbar, you kind of have to anticipate 2-range, especially from Red Dragon. Like we just saw him play open water with Giga, so a little surprised to see this.
I know, I'm so surprised that these players don't switch it up a little bit more. They have their 2 comfort decks that they're comfortable with, and then so it's either one of the 2.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, Red Dragon might have an easy time here, but, we haven't seen it all yet, so Robin might pull a rabbit out of his hat yet.
Yeah, I hope so. Good luck to him.
Okay, here we go. So Ramen was contesting the pads here, but of course it's looking much better here for Red Dragon. He gets the lasers onto the top pad, clearing that lone Cyber Wheel, and he might be able to get on the pads, but even then, the Venom would have got on there, and it would just die immediately to the spikes of the lasers, so Red Dragon is just going to take that missile number 1.
Yeah, Ramen would have needed to shuffle his units much faster than that. Red Dragon had the right units on the right sides. There was no winning that missile. And now look at him.
Not at all.
He is sitting at 10 Tiberium, Red Dragon at 100. Has map control, has the units, has the money. Ugh, this is going to be very tough for Ramen right now.
That's right. Like you say, he's got enough money in the bank where as soon as his pop cap frees up, he's going to be building that Giga Cannon because it's going to do some real work. And here it is. So Giga Cannon, of course, there's nothing really to contest it right now. We got the lasers, but the boosted Giga actually beats the lasers 1v1, which is kind of disgusting. So like you saw there, he had to back it off. And now Banshee's coming in as a bit of a tech switch, but here Red Dragon has got better positioning. The stealth tank on the bottom pad clearing up the Venom. He'll clear up the second Venom as well with the attack bikes to support. And, well, yeah, Giga does what Giga does. Yeah. Red Dragon's just going to take it.
Also, why would you send in Venoms when there's only armor on that pad? I think that was, maybe a little bit more last-minute panic. Maybe getting a little bit demotivated there at that point.
A little bit, I think so.
Yeah,
that happens, right? Like, I know for myself as a player, when I get flustered, that's the moment I start making real bad unit decisions.
Exactly.
It's like, I meant to make missiles, not friggin' shocks or something like that, right? It's like, it happens to the best of us.
All right, well, that's going to bring the Wolf Pack up to 2, so we're now at 2-0 for the Wolves.
Wow. Right, actually, isn't it Polish forces that are up 2? Yeah, Phonic and Red Dragon are Polish forces, that's right.
Did we have the wrong sides here? Okay, sorry, I was looking at this.
That's okay. No worries. Yeah, no, it is Polish forces, though, that are up 2.
All right, then we'll have to fix the score. 1 second. So the next game is going to be John against Reset All, Please.
Ooh. All right. Actually, so I'm excited for this because I think I've seen Reset All, Please. I don't know much about John. In fact, so his username, Kamara Alzaman, I've never seen it on ladder. Do you know anything about these players?
I do not. I've played Reset. I've Reset All, Please. Very, very occasionally, like maybe once a season. But I do not know Kamara Alzaman.
All right. Well, sounds good. It's gonna be a little surprise for us.
If you make it into Wolfpack, right? Wolfpack is one of the largest alliances. and they do have
They are.
that that ranking system where you move up through the alliances. So maybe he's been making a lot of progress. We'll find out. Our first game is going to be on Sandbar again.
All right, fantastic.
So I'm ready if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Series 3 against, we got Wolfpack versus the Polish Forces. Polish Forces now being up 2-0. So this is now series point. If Polish Forces can take this one, that means they got the 3-0. That means they're going to move on. And yeah, and this is in the losers bracket as well. So this is a really important matchup here.
It is. Razorback, a very high skill unit, right? All the pro players play Razorback or like to play Razorback, especially Did.
Well, it's got Raider, it flies. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. Any Raider unit is definitely a high skill unit.
Yeah, exactly. High skill unit is definitely on Raider, and he has a lot of those. Pitbull, Predator, and Razorback. And technically,
well, and
Hammerhead. Yeah, exactly. Technically, if we want to call that Raider. Or actually, it's forward Raider, right? You have to differentiate. There is a bit of a difference.
Yeah, it's not quite the same.
No.
All right,
exactly.
well, we got a bit of a War Factory battle going on here. We got double Pitbull against the bikes, and so far, Reset All Please coming out on top just slightly. He's going to bring in the two Pitbulls. A nice move there, pulling the full hit point Pitbull in first. Of course, you don't want to lose the second one. It's going to provide some value, some extra shots. And look at that. Very easily cleans up that second attack bike squad. Of course, Kamara now going into a Chuggy, and it is going to have a bad day when it sees this Predator tank. But there's nothing really to contest these lasers, so this Predator tank is just going to have to move back and come back another day.
Oh, look, he sacrifices the Pitbull for some pop cap, maybe? But this is,
he should move up those riflemen.
Yeah, but this is exactly what I mean with you don't need to be on both pads, right? He didn't have the constellation to win the missile, so he just hangs back and chills till he does.
And Kamara Al-Zaman going to try and make a push here. Of course, the bikes aren't going to be enough to get onto that bottom pad. With that Predator tank pushed up just a little bit, the riflemen are going to be all he needs to secure that pad. So, Reset All Please takes missile number 1.
Kamar needed, before the Pred came out, he needed to be a little bit more aggressive, I think. He could have punished him for, punished Reset for not having Predator and then just moving in with lasers and Chuggy right there. I think he allowed him to get off a little bit too easy there.
Oh, I agree, especially the bottom pad where it had a, less than half hit point Pitbull and 2 riflemen out of 5. I mean, it was very simple enough for him to send something to that bottom pad like a Ken Buggy, or even, I don't know, lasers might have even been enough, just something to try and contest.
Yeah,
so.
and Reset just wanted to stall, and Kamar let him stall.
He sure did, yep. Well, and Reset All Please really taking advantage of a good situation here. He's got good positioning here. He's got the double Pitbulls again up at the top pad. Kamara just falling short on the value game. Of course, you look at the economy difference, and Reset All Please has less money, but you also look at what's on the field, and he spent a lot of that. That said, though, Kamara now coming out with an Inferno. It doesn't feel like it's going to be timely enough, though. Of course, he needs to get onto the pads here, and, well, that just gives Reset All Please such an easy way in. He's going to respond with his Hammerhead, but hold on a minute. Wait a minute. What, have I misspoken? Just a second here. This Hammerhead now getting up the Inferno. Okay, it's looking a little bit better here for Reset All Please. Might be looking back onto that bottom pad. That Hammerhead now moving down, and it does have a lot of hit points, so should be all he needs here, and he should be able to hold on. There it is. All right, Reset All Please taking 2 missiles to none, winning game number 1.
That is a tough position to be in there for Kamar. It's very similar to the position that Reset was in just before that. You have the Inferno, and then you have the bike. So the Inferno clears the pad, and then you bring on some bikes to replace it, and then you send the Inferno to the next pad. But then that dies over there, right? Because you don't have enough units to really be powerful, to really have a lot of presence. And I think what he would have had to do, instead of just letting it, he got a 20 HP Pitbull with his Inferno top that then died to the Hammerhead. He should have probably just not went for that pad, just have the restraint, and then worked his way up the same way Reset did, because he had the bikes in between this Inferno and the Hammerhead. He could have just hang back. The Pitbull, the Predator was right in front of his base. He could have snacked another or 2 Predators by the time the Hammerhead would have gone around. Yeah, and you just have to be able to have that restraint to not immediately try, okay, I got this pad, all right, well, let's go to the next pad, and then suicide over there, right? That's how you lose. That's how you lose games.
I mean, it's what he needed to do, right? The Inferno was the right choice, but
it was the right choice.
Of course, he had nothing else to defend it with. Like you said, he had no presence on the map. And so the lucky thing was the Predator was low enough hit points on that bottom pad that the Inferno cleared it in one shot. But the problem from there was he didn't take advantage of that little gift that was given to him. You know, like you said, he should have stuck to the bottom pad and just held the Inferno there. Pull some bikes in because they're fast enough. They'll get in the way of anything that might contest the Inferno, and then you slowly push for the top pad. So yeah, but it's a tough thing to do, right?
Yeah, they just don't realize that this Inferno is my win condition. If I throw it away, I have no more win condition. But if I hold on to this pad and save up so that I can make a second Inferno or immediately replace it when I lose it, then I still have a fighting chance. But they just they just throw it away because they think they have to have both pads at the same time. All right. Well, we can only hope that they watch the Alliance Wars and continue playing, and then they'll learn and will make a better player out of everyone.
Exactly. Yeah, make for better competition. Totally. Okay. Well, let's get into game number 2.
Let's do it. Broken Mesa. I'm hyped.
I love this map.
This map name already reminds me of Half-Life because of what was it called?
Yeah, me too. I can't remember the name. It was
something
Black
Mesa. Black Mesa. Exactly. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, well, and no change in decks from either side, it looks like, except, of course... No, I think these are the same decks,
They're the same decks, yeah. Although Kamara here is the one that does the nice Harvester move. Interesting.
He did, yes. Yeah, true enough.
And then, that might help him out in the end, you know, because we could see some Predator or Inferno pressure. Yeah.
Usually Harvester pressure means nothing, but against an Inferno deck, you know what? If you got the chance to do it can put you up ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I have a good feeling about Kamara here on this one. I think he's going to win it.
All right.
I'm rooting
Well,
for
let's
him.
see if that turns out to be the case. And here Kamara making a push against a single rifleman, which is a really good move there from Kamara. He split up. Well, he didn't split up, but Resetto please split up his rifleman there, allowing Kamara a little bit of inch forward here. So looking pretty good. And he's got defender's advantage with those riflemen. So far, he's up ahead on value game. And Resetto please, he needs to get to that Razorback as an important tech switch because he doesn't have dogs. Dogs would be a great tool here, but it's just not going to get the job done. That said, though, it looks like Resetto please might be able to take this bottom pad, but look at the boost on the bikes and the riflemen on the top that are going to hold it long enough. But that said, once the riflemen get on the middle pad, it's going to be stalled. He just needs to get another unit onto that pad. Can he get there? It's going to be a sweaty fest of blocking, and it looks like Resetto please is coming out on top. But one good block deserves another, and unfortunate there for Resetto please does get the block with the rifleman. So looks like he's going to clear the bottom pad. Bucket coming in, but the Piffle's there to meet it and just take it down here. This boosted Piffle might be enough, but hold on a minute. The Thunder Tank cleared up the rifleman on the top pad. Wow, how much time had to pass for that to happen? Holy cow.
Oh, this is all over the place.
It's all over the place. Exactly. This missile has been going back and forth constantly. These double pitfalls aren't going to be enough, I don't think. Oh, the boosted lasers as well. Does he get onto the pad, though? Oh, he does. Wow. This is just absolutely nuts. Almost 2 minutes for the first missile to go off, and it just hasn't gone off yet. Counter after counter. So double laser trying to get on the middle pad, and this should be enough, but again, doesn't quite get there, and Resetto please is on the pads, and there finally, he takes missile number 1.
Wow, that was a very nice, exciting missile. It felt like both players were evenly matched in each other's competence and you know, pad contestation and everything very nicely.
That was great.
But I think the Predator was a little bit too soon on reset, though.
Have to agree. Well, and so now Inferno's come out with all that stall time. That bought enough time. We are at full ramp up on economy, which only gives a bit of an advantage here to Kamara. Of course, he does need to protect this Inferno. It might even lose that Harvester up at the top pad. No, it looks like he's going to back off the Pitbull eventually. But, you know, right now with this Hammerhead flying around, it's going to be a big problem. Hammerhead not always the most amazing tool. I find Talon sometimes is better, but, you know, look at this. That Hammerhead next to the base, Kamara's not building an Inferno anytime soon.
Yeah. The thing is, when you build a dedicated anti-air unit, after your target is dead, you don't really know what to do with it.
Ooh, and look at this. All that aggression at the base might have just given him enough time to just take the missile. Look at that. Kamara, his focus was taken away from the pads. Resetto please realizing that, made a contest for the pads a little bit sooner and got into better positioning, taking him down. That was really well played there by Resetto please.
Yeah, it was. I thought with the Predator at first, he was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna make the same mistake I did last time and get caught with my pants down against that Chuggy. Let's get a nice early Predator out there, and then didn't quite Or it did actually turn out well for him, despite a little bit of a hiccup there in the middle. And then
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Ramen, Kamara, who moved his Harvester back, ended up being the one getting pressured. I thought that was ironic.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I mean, and it didn't really do much for him there, but the
Yeah.
Hammerhead being close to the base. Now, I have to say, like, it's not the best use of it. Like, Hammerhead costs a lot of money. It's 90. And so he was just letting it sit by the base. But it also did allow him to contest the Inferno directly. You know, and then, of course, the timing of the missile, too, right? That played a role. But what a nutty game that was. That was great.
It was nutty, yeah. I enjoyed that. I think if you move the Hammerhead all the way to the far right corner, and then kind of like, you know, an advanced Gold League drill pod, but like a Tiberium League Hammerhead. Sure. You put that in the corner, and then if there's too much going on, you kind of forget about it, and it does damage, right? It will slowly chip away at that base, and then you just have to bring it out of away from the spawn, so it doesn't get, you know, hit by a drive-by pitbull that spawns or something. Alrighty.
I mean, it would have been nice to see him pull it back to the pads, but you know, that's okay. It worked out.
Our next game, is going to be Slashed Fields. It's the same as Broken Mesa, just, you know, more horizontal instead of vertical.
Well, and also the other important feature, there's no rocks between the pads, so it's a little bit more open in that sense. There are rocks close to where the base is, but between the pads, a little bit more open.
Good point. All right, let's check it out.
All right, let's do it. Here we go, game number 3, and this is match and series point for the Polish forces. So, if he can win this, that's going to be it. And, well, not obviously it for this stream, but, you know, it'll be it for the series as far as winning it. So, all right, let's take a look at this. And it's going to be Giga versus Shade. All right, well, Kamara seems like he's brought the right tool for the job. I mean, Shade, an excellent choice against the Giga deck.
Yeah.
Of course, Shade, you know, with its EMP, it's real hard for the Giga to defend against. It just really depends on how well Reset All Please plays the Giga.
Yeah, and there are some little slits between the pads where you can make it across. You know, without de-stealthing, decloaking, but that is a tough play, especially if there's a lot going on over the map. It could just devolve into, like, a phantom battle with bikes left and right. I don't know. You never know with these players.
Totally. So Reset All Please winning the early Militant War, and Kamara immediately going into Air Tower. I'm really surprised by that. I guess he was expecting the bikes to come out, which they have. But that said, you know, the thing about Shade, it does not one-shot bikes, and you see here that playing out, and it's going to play a big role, as he's not going to be able to get on all 3 pads, so that's a very comfortable missile for Reset All Please. Yeah,
that was especially 2 bike squads. You're never doing anything against that in time.
No.
Oh well, but now he's out of position, overextending. That is huge. He was already behind, and now he's behind even more. It's going to be very hard for him to stabilize after that loss.
Well, you know, like the old saying goes, just make bikes. Kamara pushing into bikes finally, and this is kind of where he needs to be, actually, as this will be an important catch-up tool for him. It will contest everything that's out there. Reset All Please, of course, can respond here. He's got lasers coming out, which will be important, too. But now the Shade might be able to get something done, but, oh, look at that. The Phantom does go down. The Shade lives another day, and even though it took a shot there, and you saw the shots were really delayed there, the EMP having a strong effect.
Oh yeah, but now he's going to need a Shade for this Giga. I think it's going to boost.
I hope Kamara brought his brown pads, because this is not looking good for him. He's got that Giga contesting that middle pad, and the Chuggy just absolutely wrecking it. And, well, he's got all 3 pads here. It looks like, oh, hold on a minute. Now he's got it on all 3 pads. And that Venom's going to live a long while, I think. Oh, it's so close. Actually, I think maybe the laser had a chance to shoot the Venom there, but either way, that Giga was wrecking homes and taking names. So, Reset All Please takes it all. And, well, that's a 3-0 for him.
That is a 3-0. It felt like he froze a little bit. He got the lasers on the pad next to the Giga, you know, which were already only a temporary solution. But then, you know, the top pad just wasn't paying attention, and then he let himself. He needed to block there. I mean, what else are you gonna do? He had like no actions for a couple seconds. But you know, it happens to the best of us. It happens to me. You have so many decisions to make, and then you just kind of freeze up a little bit. You don't know exactly what you want to do. And everything looks so abysmal, and you're close to losing. Yeah, that's happened to me for sure.
And so Kenny mentioned this. It was a lot closer than the score suggests. I have to agree with that. It was a 3-0, but I mean, you look at that first missile and Broken Mesa, like that was just a good characterization of the skill level of these two players. Like they were both pushing each other. You know, it wasn't really necessarily like one of them was way stronger than the other. I mean, Reset All Please looked great, but so did Kamara, and Dex played a big role too, right? Now, of course, in that third game, Shade really fell flat. The fact that he went to Air Tower right away, I think he should have went Bikes Chuggy. I mean, the Chuggy would have contested the infantry a lot better, and even though Bike mirrors can be challenging, I think he would have had a better time fighting them. That said, though, you know, he did make the right call, I think, in bringing Shade, because I would expect a 2-range deck there, and really, that was like the best situation for him. It's just, Reset All Please, also pretty good, so it was just tough for him to win.
The Shade being in the deck was correct, but it's such a commitment, especially that early, you know, and it's unforgiving if you mess it up, and that's the problem. If you just make a bunch of bikes and then you have it as an additional unit towards the mid game, it's much more forgiving. Then if you make a mistake, it's much easier to make another one. All right, so our next game is going to be Jimbo. I like to say it.
Awesome.
Because it sounds like
Jim Bob. Old Jim Bob.
Against Damien on
this should be a good series.
Alone Spire.
Okay,
shall
let's get into it. Yeah,
we shall.
Establishing battlefield.
Okay, here we go, and this is series number 4 between these two teams. It's going to be Damien versus Jim Bob, and here we are in Lone Spire, which you don't get to see too often in tournaments. It is actually a pretty decent map, I got to say, overall. Lots of different things you can play on this, and let's take a look. So both players playing Solomon, and wait, hold on a minute, Damien, did he copy the idea from? I remember his name now.
Yeah, on that showdown map. These are the same decks.
Yeah, it looks like it, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course, both players are playing Solomon, but
all right, okay. Except for Strong Arm, the lack of Strong Arm, it's the same decks. All right.
All right, well, 2 different players, though, so, we're going to see a very different game, I'm sure.
Ooh, committing to dogs and not getting a 3v2 kind of hurts. But on the other hand, it will leave you pop cap, and this is the Achilles heel of playing that, where the air then comes in to clean up the weak units.
Yeah, speaking of that, drone storm's coming out here, and the snipers look like they might have been left out to dodge, but no, actually, he had enough time to get that Pitbull in place. Of course, the Orca here is exactly what Jim Bob needs, and it will clear up this Pitbull in one shot here, but he's got double Pitbull there in time. Damien being very smart with his unit choices here. Now chasing back that Orca, just needs one more shot, but that said, even if it tries to encroach onto a pad, there's a Pitbull there, it ain't gonna live long enough, so that was a very good move there from Damien.
Yeah, and he has no missiles to help fight these Orcas.
Ooh, okay, missile number 1 coming down to it. The snipers getting chipped away by those drones going down. Another Orca coming out, and the Pitbulls are split apart. Of course, the Pitbull, it wasn't reloaded in time. Instead, just tries to get that reload on the Pitbull, but just wasn't timely there. The sniper's going to hold on for dear life, though, and even though they don't have a lot of help, they will live against an Orca for just long enough. And that said, here we go. Can the Orca clear it? Yes, they did. So reload just quickly enough to clear the dog, so we're seeing a bit of a stalled missile here. And now Pitbull numbers coming out. Not just make bikes, this just make Pitbull. Look at this, doing a pretty good job here. That Orca is going to go down, and these missiles just aren't going to be enough. The drone storms are just a little bit slow. Can they get there in time? Oh, they do. Just barely making it, but of course, it's just a matter of time. And wow, thought he just about to let those missiles onto the pad there. Didn't quite get there. Now Sniper's coming to back it up. I'm pretty sure Damien's got this in the bag.
It's going the other way around now. I think Jim Bob might have it.
Oh my goodness, the absolute flipsies going on here. The Orca nearly clearing up that top left pad, and the drone storms now might have an effect here. So wow, that sniper, that one sniper, the MVP of this match so far, but he's going to leave it all by himself. That's not good, or herself, I should say. This drone storm here really needs to go down real quick, and these Pitbulls just not really having a very quick time to kill, and that's a big factor here. But look at this, no block on the top right pad. The Orca doesn't shoot quickly enough, and there it is, Damien taking that missile, but we are at 2 minutes and 40 seconds, folks. That was an intense missile.
That was, Damien, because he has no missiles, and he needs Talon to effectively fight the combo, like, now that he has Talons, as soon as he gets some more snipers now, he's gonna stabilize. And then the next thing that might undermine that is the APCs, which we now see rolling in. So, I don't know what to say at this point.
Oh gosh, that Orca nearly almost got its full body off, clearing that Pitbull on the far right, because the Pitbull there had shot the APC first, but there was just enough time for it to reload, so it managed to clear the Orca before it cleared it. So he's managed to get a few extra shots off on that APC, nearly taking it down all the way. But look at the beefiness of these APCs. They got 3,300 hit points. Just to give you an idea, Predator tank is about 2,800, so yeah, they're pretty beefy boys. And look at this, they're doing their job. I mean, out come the missiles. Of course, the snipers are going to be there to contest that, but even the Orca, you know, the Orca does decent infantry damage, so you have to be careful with those snipers. The Talon here being the really only good tech tool, like you said, because he has no missiles against the Orca here, comes out, but of course the APC will be able to chew that up. And well, now with a lot of time on the clock, Jim Bob responds. Damien trying to get his own Orca out here, and he should try to get onto that middle pad, but oh, he does. Okay, whew, that was close. But hold on a minute, oh, what? Oh, okay, well, I guess he was going to play by Ensorger's rules there and say, you know what, I'm about to lose this missile, I'm not going to overcommit, and he just decided to go for the Harvester instead.
Yeah. And the fat lady still has not sung yet in this game.
Not even close.
Now that the money's out, the APCs are going to go down much easier. Now there's iron cannons that we might be seeing. All of these Pitbulls.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Yeah. The Pitbull sniper combo does crack APC if you can get like 2 of them out, right? 2 Pitbulls against an APC backed up by the snipers, that will eventually do it. But until you get that, until you have a strong position to be able to do that, you're kind of weak to APC. So Damien's
it's
now
so tough.
finally stabilizing here, yeah.
I mean, you have to get 10 shots from the Pitbull to clear, or no, sorry, not 10. It's 16 shots from the Pitbull. I think it's 14 or 16 from the Pitbulls. It takes a long time, you know? But yeah, of course, 2 Pitbulls could potentially get it done. Here we go! The first ion cannon coming down. We'll clear the armor of the APC, but the missiles are left behind. So, of course, that's a big problem. We got the snipers there, but the Orca's going to clear out that Pitbull. All he needs to do is get the block on the top right, and there it is. Jim Bob winning this absolutely sweatfest of a game using APC to full effect. Holy cow, what a great game that was.
Oh, that was very nice. Very sweet back and forths. I mean, that iron cannon that it didn't get the Orca is really sad. And then he was too focused on getting onto the top pad, top right. He had snipers and his harvesters. Harvester was 1 hex away from the pad. Could have gotten on there to stall.
Oh,
snipers were 2 hexes away. It would have taken longer, but yeah. You could have definitely stalled that, and then while doing that, still trying and get onto the top right. But yeah, that's a lot to micromanage. I could see a lot of minor mistakes there, like, you know, the Talons not attacking the Orcas when they came in aggressively and attacking the APCs instead. So a lot of little things where you can improve. But overall, very, very well played, especially for so much going on so many spots of the map. You know, the both players were playing with multiple units at all times. That was definitely a sweaty match, and I think they were fairly well matched for each other as well.
Oh, for sure. That game went to 5 minutes. How often do you see that? I mean, that first missile took 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It was just nuts.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. Let's see if they have as much fun for us in store for the next game, which will be on Cracked Ice.
All right, let's crack on, shall we? Okay, here we go. Damien pulling out Jade. All right, and Damien does play a lot of Jade, so not a big surprise there. Of course, Jim Bob coming out on top in that game forced a bit of a change here from Damien, and also partially because of the map, right? So here we see Laser Drone, a very cheap Laser Drone chem deck, facing off against Inferno. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I guess he's, you know, worried. I mean, wait, Damien plays Jade a lot, doesn't he?
He does,
I'm pretty sure that, yeah, this is one of his signature decks. Yeah. And I
believe so.
Yeah, like, heavy armor besides the laser drones is a little bit hard for him to beat. You know, especially because laser drones are so weak, they are easily killed. But the fact that he can always use his chem warriors as a big explosions, if there's a, like, for example, APC, right? Try cracking APC with laser drones. Forget about it. That's why he has a Jade here.
Yeah, and actually Jade has the opposite problem of Solomon, where it'll actually kill the APC and the missiles because it explodes twice, right? So
Indeed, yeah. So this could work. Yeah.
And you know, another advantage too, he's got Chem Warriors versus the Chem Buggy. As we see here, the Chem Buggy, it does, of course, do amazing damage to infantry, but because the Chem Warriors are able to survive in the clouds without taking any damage, it reduces the effectiveness of Chuggy quite a lot.
Yeah,
and here, coming down to this first missile here, that could play a big role. Look, he's got great positioning on that top pad. Those Chem Warriors just holding steady. We are going to see a double push from both sides. Those bikes just doing a dance back and forth for their life. Oh, so close there. Jim Bob nearly made it on with the lasers, but Damien, he's been practicing his two-step. He made it there first, and he takes this number one.
He knows how to tango, and man, the perseverance of those Chem Warriors against the Chuggy, right? That's the greatest. I love to see it. That's just amazing that happens, and you can see one situation where the Chuggy struggles a little bit.
Exactly. It's one of the few matchups, like, they also struggle a little bit against mutants, but not quite as much. Like, Chem Warriors, it's kind of funny because they're a specialist anti-infantry unit, but even though Chem Buggy is technically a hard counter, it just doesn't do quite a good job. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It just takes forever, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So here we go, and now he's got the top pad there. Of course, the Chem Buggy low hit points. All he needs is one volley from a bike, but look at the Jade missile coming down. It's not going to be timely enough. Oh, so close, though. Had it been just a little bit sooner, he actually would have stalled the missile. The bikes would, of course, got there, but then you'd see, of course, the missile still stalled at this point in time. So, you know, a little bit unfortunate there. Just a little bit too late there.
I think Jim Bob would have had it anyway, because the units to replace post-missile were bikes and Inferno. The Inferno would have just taken out the bikes. So that, I think that was in Jim Bob's pocket, regardless.
Well, and look at this, 3 Infernos. Jim Bob is bringing the fire. My goodness, he's totally taking names too, because look at this, the Inferno getting a bomb up on that first set of bikes. He's trying to get at the Chem Warriors. That is really the juicy target for this Inferno, and he might just get it almost. Oh, look at that, it did! Oh, the lock-on of Inferno is just nuts.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of attack bikes, actually. And, well, these Infernos could end up being a little bit of a liability towards the end of this missile, because if we see a cheeky Phantom come out, could be enough, but we're not seeing that. Chem Warriors low hit points from walking through the flames. Need to play a little Dragon Force there. And it looks like he's going to push on the far left pad as well, but instead of getting on there, he pushed it forward just a little bit, but doesn't matter. Lasers aren't able to clear the Inferno quickly enough. And look at the boost on the Inferno as well to block the laser drones from getting onto the pads there. Really high level plays, and well, as a result, Jim Bob takes this inch of a game. Holy cow, another great one.
It was a nice try there to try and move it a little bit towards the air. But like he needed to get out Phantoms against the Infernos way sooner.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
You can do it with bikes, much easier on Nod, mind you, than GDI. Playing laser bikes is way easier than playing missile pitbull on GDI, simply because you have that upfront burst damage, right? Because you all usually die or trade or whatever, but the bikes at least get 3 pitbull shots out, whereas pitbull, of course, only get 1. So
yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, it can work if you have map control, but because he has the Raider Chuggy and Chems are so slow, you don't have that with that deck. So I think the mistake there was to not save up and just go early Phantom.
Right. Yeah, he spent so much money on, that Jade missile, which didn't win in the missile, so he fell behind there.
Yeah.
And he spent a lot of money on expensive Chem Warriors. Like, he really, like, at the end there, he built Chems into Infernos, right? And I was kind of like, oh, that doesn't seem like the right choice. But, you know, I mean, sometimes Chems hold for dear life, but not in that case. Not with the 3 Infernos out on the field. Yeah, you're right. He needed to get to Phantom a lot sooner. And that would have been enough to maybe turn the tide, especially how low hit points those Infernos were. Because he might have been able to clear 2 with 1 Phantom, right? But
yeah.
Yeah,
and another thing that a lot of players don't do is when you have the matchup Chem Trooper against Chuggy, and you can go after the Chem Troopers. I personally always use that opportunity to boost.
Oh yeah, true.
If you cannot be punished for it, and while he was that first missile where the Chems were just surviving forever, that would have been an opportune moment to boost. Instead, he spent it on units and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, good point. And, well, that puts Jim Bob up 2-0. And, just like the previous series with Kamara and Reset All Please, this series has been way closer than the score suggests. And, well, now Damien is up against a wall. What is he going to pull out to try and turn this third game around? Well, let's find out.
Let's find out. Tiberium Stripes, off we go.
All right, here we go. Game number 3. Jim Bob up 2-0. This ain't looking great for Damien, but let's have a look at what he's brought on this map. Okay, same the GDI map deck, which isn't such a bad bad idea. It's a spread out 3-pad map where, you know, jump jets, talons, orcas can be pretty helpful, especially with those rocks close to the base. And Jim Bob, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? So he's going to bring back Inferno.
Well, you know, snipers will take care of the lasers, and but the Chuggy will take care of pretty much everything else on Damien's side. So I don't know. Maybe if he gets down the laser fronts here, we might see Damien in a good position. Otherwise, I think Jim Bob. I think the Nod deck here is just easier to play. Snipers require so much micromanagement, so much care and attention, right? Just a millisecond of Chuggy next to them, and they already lose a model. Like, here we go. Let's watch this.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
Look at that.
Very,
just a few shots off, but wasn't quite enough.
But just barely. That was almost another model there.
But, you know, even if something farts on those snipers, one of them's going to die, and then immediately they lose a ton of value, right? So, yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so here we go. Missile number 1, Damien making a good pushback here. Of course, we did see him win missile number 1 in game number 2, so maybe not all that surprising. But, you know, the real problem here for Damien, and there, he takes missile number 1. The real problem here, he doesn't have a way to punish Jim Bob's game plan. I mean, the early Chuggy is just going to be a big problem for these snipers, as we're seeing. And then once the Chuggy's done, it's going to be time for Inferno. So I don't know. I just don't see how he gets this done, like you say. I think Jim Bob does have a big advantage. That said, though, that was a pretty important missile for Damien to win.
Yeah, it can work, as we're seeing here. If the other player goes bikes lose to Pitbull, for sure. You kind of have to play it with, like he's doing now, move in, and then get some chip damage on those snipers like that, and you have to play the laser Chuggy variant, and not shy away and make bikes.
Ooh, he gets a boost on the Chem Buggy there. Not so sure about that. Of course, Chem Buggy actually has pretty reasonable vehicle damage, surprisingly. So, not the most insane decision ever, but, you know, he didn't have a way of getting through both of those pitbulls. So, that actually gave a huge advantage here for Damien. He spent, you know, 90 tib on that just to make that happen, and it really didn't do much for him at all. And so, as a result, Damien makes a nice comeback here, taking 2 missiles to none, giving him his first victory in this series.
Yeah, he could not crack anything there.
Not at all.
Yeah,
no.
like it's kind of like with the Giga, whereas the snipers are the Giga. They're the unit at the back where you weaken. It's the same with every 2 unit. You always weaken the forefront unit, and then you try and move in, and then maybe use that moment if you get one almost down, and then you move in, and then you boost, and then you weaken them, and then you try to time that right before a missile, and that's how you crack these combos. Especially if they're a little bit more advantage than you are, and that can be done with that deck. I guess maybe I undervalued Pitbull Sniper a little bit. That definitely.
Well, part of the problem too, like he had one Pitbull in front of the snipers, but then of course once the Chuggy was trying to get close, he had another Pitbull coming in right behind it, and so that was part of the issue. The other problem was it felt like Jim Bob was just so focused on the bottom part of the map, like he didn't try to contest the top part of the map. You know, there was really not much action going on there until the end of the missile, and so I think maybe if Jim Bob played it a little bit differently and tried to push from the other side a little bit more, I think that would have put Damien on his back foot, because it is really sweaty to protect snipers with Pitbull. It just is. Like, Pitbull is a reasonably fast unit, but because of its time to kill being so low, it just takes forever to chew through that Chuggy. So eventually something gets through, and also not enough bikes. I just didn't see enough bikes there from Jim Bob. So
exactly. Yeah. Yep, that's another thing with Rivals is the tunnel vision. Focusing on the mid pad is a big example of Rivals tunnel vision.
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
All right, our next game is 3 lanes. This is this is again a map just like Broken Mesa, and what was the other one that we talked about? It didn't have the rocks. Slashed Fields, right? The very similar 3-pad constellations. Let's have a look.
Let's jump into it. Okay, here we are. So the series between these 2 players is 2-1 for Jim Bob. So this is, of course, match point once again. Jim Bob takes us. He will win the series, putting him up 3-1. But let's take a look here. So Damien, all right, well, he's going to try and bring his best, and of course, that's going to be Jade. And I'm not so sure it's going to be amazing on a 3-pad map, but, of course, again, just like the other map on Cracked Ice, I do like the fact that we see Chem Warriors against Mutant Chuggy here.
All right, I feel comfortable enough to make a hard prediction on this one. I'm on Damien's side all the way.
He's got the better deck, I have to say, except for Jade.
Except for Jade. But like the chems will take care of everything except you know, the bikes and the chuggy, and then with a little bit like laser drones and chems will just clear Jim Bob's deck, I think.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Laser drone's going to be an important tool here.
Yeah, the laser drones will help against the chuggy, but everything else is not a threat to his chems, so he can just like mass chems here and then just support them where needed. And now he's doing the same thing where he's just blocking with these tanky chem warriors. Same
Was
as
this
last
deja
time.
vu? Yeah, because exactly. You're 100% right. He slapped those chems onto that bottom hex, danced the bikes back and forth. Now, of course, this was on the middle part of the map, so there was a lot more openness going on. But, you know, just all the same, that chem buggy could not get through the chem warriors quickly enough. So, well, there it is. Damien taking missile number 1.
And you know, what you just said, oh, you're not sure about Jade? Damien is known to go for the base. And because Jim Bob is going to make chuggies to beat these chem warriors, he's going to be shooting himself in the foot here a little bit if they have an encounter near the base and then there's clouds everywhere. We could see a 1 Jade missile base kill.
Ooh, look at this. He's slowly making his way towards the base. Just like you said, it looks like he's trying to push for a base kill, but instead here he's going to contest the bikes. Of course, he doesn't want to lose defender's advantage with the laser drones, which is how you win against bikes with laser drones. So there he pushed in, managed to take that matchup himself, so really good play there. He is going to try and get at this chem buggy, and there it goes, finally going down. Now he's moving these chem warriors up top. Oh, however, losing that 1 model is a big deal. The chem buggy is going to very easily defend against that, even though it did take a little bit longer. Still, they managed to get there. And this lone wheel here going to be a big liability as well. He needs to push those laser drones over the far left, but hold on, wait it. Nope, never mind.
Yeah.
Damien, there it is, just like you predicted. Laser drones and chems, man.
Laser drones and chems, yeah. You could immediately see it on that. There was like no way around it. I was so sure. And then Jim Bob now on his back foot all the time because he was so scared. Down a missile, and then he defending with the chem unit, right? He was so scared that he let himself get so pushed back to the base, and then you can just retreat and take the pads like we saw there if you're not getting through to the base. So yeah, that was a very that is the nature of the game. You know, it is rock paper scissors, and man, those rock really crushed those scissors.
It sure did, yeah. I mean, laser drones feel kind of underwhelming lately. Well, not lately, I should say over the last year, just because they got that big nerf, right? But it's still, the thing about flying units is that roll is so good, and that's the thing that Chem Buggy can't deal with. So, you know, where he didn't have a lot of options, like, of course, bikes do a good job of dealing with laser drones, but you saw there, like, he made that push, the 2v1 against them, clearing them out. You know, he really did a great job of pushing Jim Bob back, and again, like, towards the middle of that game where he was really inching towards the base. I mean, Jim Bob has to be thinking about that. I know I would be, because yeah, if you let him in, I mean, that's probably going to be game over, because after that, you have so much time on the clock to just get down that little bit last of the base. So, yeah, strong game there from Damien, and really almost, well, actually, I have to say, made Jade look pretty decent. So,
I think didn't you say once that Chem Warrior vehicle damage is fairly decent? Wasn't it?
It is, yeah. So it's actually the same as like one laser drone model. It does the same damage as that. So if you think about it, having chems with a set of laser drones, it's like having 5 laser drones in terms of how much damage you're doing. All
right, not bad. Yeah, that's why we see those bikes go down so quickly.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, so our next game is Far Harder against Chaos, as I think you forgot the C.
Oh, House, you mean? I think it's House. I think it's here in chat. You let us know how it's pronounced, but I have no idea.
It's supposed to be pronounced Chaos, he said.
Oh, it is? Okay.
All right.
Well, unusual spelling, I'll say, but yeah, we'll go with it. Okay, so Far Tartar versus Chaos. Sounds great.
Yep. First game, the Cauldron. I'm ready if you're ready.
Let's do it.
Establishing battlefield control.
All right, here we go. In our last series between these two teams, we got Chaos versus Far Tartar. And I always got to give a little shout out to Far Tartar. You know, Blade makes the comment about funny names when you're casting. Yeah, this is definitely one of them.
Yeah. But it's supposed to be, or it's I always mention it whenever I play him in my own stream. Is it a play on Far Trader, or is it a play on Fart Harder? The opinions seem to be mixed.
Okay. I think it's probably the latter of the two, but yeah, I could see why you might think that.
Yeah.
Well, we won't know, right, until we talk to him. So, look at these decks. Like we got Mutant Chuggy versus Razorback Slingshot. Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like Far Tartar is favored here, but like maybe Chaos gets some Jade missile action or something. You know, that will take down a
big
sling
problem is
quickly.
slingshot, right?
Yeah, but that'll take down a slingshot because he'll have his stuff clumped up together.
Well, no, but slingshot has no target, so it's just going to be a totally lost unit slot for him this game.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah, you're right. My bad. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Missile number 1, who takes the first one, and it's going to be Chaos. Of course, he had the Chem Buggy and the bike's in position. Always a problem with GDI, which is responding against Chem Buggy. Pitbulls are a great unit, but they just don't kill things too quickly. So, well, there it is. Chaos taking missile number 1.
Yeah, that's the problem with Pitbull against Chuggy. That's why, like, I don't consider it a counter. A lot of people do. Oh, but you have
Right.
Pitbull. No, I was like, no, like, yeah, maybe if you're lucky or they play poorly, but in every other circumstance, you're not in good shape.
Well, speaking of good shape, Chaos here looking absolutely good. I mean, he's got mutants, bikes, and Chuggy. I did let that Chuggy take a few extra shots from the Pitbull there, so a bit of a misplay there, letting these mutants just sit at the bottom of the map doing pretty much nothing. Of course, really aren't too many targets besides that Pitbull, so it does kind of make sense that he's not doing much with them. But that said, he does need to get his combined arms online, so he's got another Chem Buggy coming out. Razorback here, of course, going to be very important, as it is an important tech tool against this combined arm formation, as it doesn't have anything that shoots up. That said, though, he needs to get onto these pads if he's going to win a game at all. And Stealth coming in from behind. I mean, wow, that was just a really comfortable game there for Chaos.
That was a little bit of a beating.
I would say it was a savage beating. Like, I mean, no offense to Far Tartar, but he really just, like, the APM there was just not there. I mean, I don't know, maybe he didn't have the money, maybe he was baking a pizza in the oven, maybe he had to answer the front door, I don't know. But either way, I mean, Chaos just looked really strong there, so we'll see how the rest of this goes. You know, Far Tartar, actually, I think he's a pretty good player. I've seen him on ladder, so I don't expect that's going to be the best we've seen from him yet. And of course, Dex map play a difference, but yeah, a little unfortunate to see him fall so short there.
Yeah. I think I might have spoken a little bit too soon there. And I think that he needed to get maybe an Orca out. He was making all those pit bulls, right? He had like 3 or 4 pit bulls that then died. And yeah, maybe at least go Orca Razorback until you stabilize a little bit. And then when the mutants aren't that much of a threat and the stanks start coming out for the Orcas, that's when you make Pitbull versus right away. Yeah. Like it's a hard choice to make because you're under pressure now. The bikes are flying around, the mutants are flying around, but maybe that's the right choice to do and before it evolves into what it did right there.
Yeah,
oh, well.
For sure. I mean, yeah, it looked like there wasn't much he could have done to turn that around, but yeah, I mean, well, Razorback was the right call. It's just he, like you said, he needed Pitbulls or something to support it, which didn't happen. So
okay. Our next game will be on 3 lanes.
Ooh, all right, 3 lanes again. I love this map. You don't get to see it too often. It's an event map. Of course, you see it a lot in, which event is that? I can't remember. But anyways, here we go. So
I love
again
the map
versus
too.
Far Tartar. It is a good map. Yeah, like you say, it's a lot like Slash Fields or Broken Mesa. It's just got that nice even-keeled 3 pads separated by 1 hex each. And you do have the lakes in the middle, which does make it interesting if you bring something like Slingshot. But anyways, we're not going to see any of that here. We got Chaos playing Mutant Chuggy again with Jade. And Far Tartar switching over to Inferno. Interesting.
Yeah, so if Far Tartar... if you say that too quickly, right, you know what happens.
Yeah, I know, right? That's gonna be a big problem for me.
If he can snowball with Inferno, then he's gonna win this. But the early game goes to Chaos, and you have to kind of know that if you're playing Mutant against Inferno, you have stronger early game, and you can pressure the Harvester very effectively, and that will shut down the Inferno.
Well, speaking of pressure here, Far Tartar trying to put some pressure on with these Venoms, but of course, Chaos going to very easily respond here. He's got bikes on the far left. The Chem Buggy, of course, is going to clear up those lasers in the middle, stalling the missile just a little bit longer. And now with the hack bike taking down the Venom, there's no way for Far Tartar to contest these pads, so there it is. Missile number 1 goes to Chaos.
Bikes everywhere. Yep. There we go. That's exactly what I expected. Tank, oof. Going tank? Tank is just going to get punished now when the mutants come out. I don't think that was the right play here. Yeah. And then Far Tartar can maybe go into... he has the Venom, he has the air towers out, so he can switch into Inferno fast enough. and then he's going to take down all of this. Yeah, so I think Fartartar will have a comeback here.
I hope so, yeah, because
definitely
so
looking
far
like it.
It's looking pretty tough. Like you talked about the tank there. I mean, yeah, it's actually a pretty important tool in this matchup because Venom Tank actually has a decent way of chewing through the Chuggy mutant combination, the Venom not taking damage. So there could be a way for him to clear this out. But, you know, Chaos, as we've seen so far, is just a very dominant player. Like, look at the positioning he's put out. He's got a stealth thing coming down, and now he's going to try and clear out this 2 tanks. Oh, not bad value, actually. It's not Jade giving outs. You'll love to see it.
Yes.
And, well, you know, of course, it's very important that he capitalizes on that. So here we go. He's not getting it onto this middle pad, switching the Venom over to the middle pad. Very good. The stealth tank here needs to go down to these lasers, and the attack spike's coming in from behind as well. It's just too much. Fartartar just cannot respond in time. And, well, also the Jade emote on top of that.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
Although Jade, because Jade is so seldomly played, I kind of welcome the emotes, right? Just because you almost never hear them.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, they're great. Yeah.
The Jade kill, the Jade fire was pretty decent. I was glad that that he managed to save up to push one out right there.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, let me see. I forgot a game. I'm very sorry. There's just so many games in the list. Yeah, I forgot a previous game of Jim Bob against Damien. Yeah.
Oh, right. I guess, yeah, that series was 2-2 when we finished it off.
Yeah, right.
Finish it off, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we should show that. That's exciting.
Oh, yeah,
right?
for sure. I switched one down too quickly, and there's one in the middle that I didn't stream. So I'm just going to bring that up. And but I think we should finish the Chaos game before.
Sure. We'll fix it in post.
So that we don't have any too much jumping around. All right, let's go bring that up. All right, so this one is going to be. Can you guess? Don't look. Guess. You already know it.
I can.
If I make you guess, you know what it is.
I mean, well, it's hard. Actually, Strong Arm would not make me think open water, believe it or not. I mean, Strong Arm is decent on this map, but it's not.
It's not great.
Okay.
No.
It's decent, but yeah, it's just not the best map.
Like,
so a little surprised to see that, but
I wouldn't even call
Slingshot.
I wouldn't even call it decent. I would just call it not completely terrible, right? On some maps, it's just completely terrible. Here, it's so situational if you get value out of it, right? The pads kind of have to be full. If they're full in the middle, then you can get value out of it, but that's, that really depends. Yeah, it can be good. I would say situationally great. Or bad.
So Chaos here, he's feeling really good, right? He's up 2 games, and, that second game was a little bit sweatier. It was a bit tougher there. Fartartar definitely pulled out a little bit more gameplay that game. And this game, I don't know. If I'm Fartartar, like, of course, if he loses this, that's it. Oh, the turret coming out a little bit early. Nice.
I know, but, speak of the devil.
Right? Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but then you
go a little bit early as well.
Yeah, and now, again, losing value because you push back. It's so situational on this map.
Well, speaking of losing value there, that Chem Buggy really needs to be pushed up a little bit further. Those missiles getting some extra value against the bikes. This is going to allow Fartartar to take this middle pad, and all he needs to do now is just dance for dear life. And, of course, the Cloud there, being in that position, clears out that lone rifleman. He just needs to stop these mutants from getting onto the pad, and there it is. All right, Fartartar making a comeback. You'll love to see it.
So Fartartar had a commander power here, and Chaos didn't. If Chaos would have had boost, those mutants might have killed that Pitbull in time, And then that would have changed it the other way around. It's such a big deal to run Jade, right? You're risking so much to get value out of it, or just not have a commander power. I'm surprised these players feel so confident playing Jade all the time.
Boy, that was a brilliant retarget there from Fartartar. As we saw the mutants inch forward first, and the Orca was just about to unload, but very smart there from Fartartar. He retargeted against the bikes, clearing those out. Now this Orca is actually becoming a bit of a problem here for Chaos, as it's pushed the attack bikes. And look at that, the strong arm turret coming down to block it from even getting at the Orca. I mean, wasn't going to shoot the Orca, but did stop his pathing there, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And these missiles here, all they have to do is shoot, and there, okay, the strong arm turret took care of that as well. Actually, this turret not looking too bad so far. Really, Fartartar just needs to continue to maintain map position here, just like he is. This Pitbull here getting some free shots on these Chuggies. Chaos trying to respond with mutants here, but it's a little bit slow to go. And look at this, Stealth Tank moved all the way to the far back of the map. Of course, that does sometimes happens with the weird pathing in this map with the way the pads and the rocks are formed. And look at this, a Jade Missile coming down, clearing
Oh my
everything.
God.
Holy cow! Wow, I don't know who that benefited more. And look, it benefited Fart Charter definitely a lot more. As here we go, it's going to be a bit of a firefight here for this middle pad. As we see the Razorback clearing out the lasers, the Rifleman getting into position as well, and the Bikes. Oh, wow, was that ever close? I mean, a pixel of time there, folks. That could have been anybody's game there. But
Yeah.
Chaos does manage to make it there with those bikes. Very well done. And now again, we see the Razorback coming out. This is such an important tool for Fart Harder. Clearing out these riflemen is exactly where he wants to be, so he gets more value out of his own missiles. And now all he needs to do is clear out this bike, the Chun Buggy, and block them. And now he's got all 3 paths secured. Can he hold on long enough? Oh, it doesn't look like. Okay, so of course, the Razorback had one more volley to go, and the bikes were there reloaded just in time. So here we go. We just need to try and clear up this middle pad. It's slow, close. Fart Harder is inches away from victory and claiming back this series. All he needs to do is just try to push back these bikes, and now the mutants. And here we go. Nice push up with the mutants. Maybe the Harvester will be good too. Okay, no, he doesn't want to do that. All right, so here we go. That Razorback coming out is going to get at these mutants here. The missiles being a very important choice too. Without a chem buggy to contest them so much, they're getting tons and tons of value, which is exactly what Fart Harder needs, and that is really what pulled him back into this game. And now this Razorback doing absolutely amazing damage here against these militants. That should be enough here. He just needs to get on that far right pad. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. We're going to see a bit of a turnaround, perhaps.
Oh,
wow,
no, he just has to block.
nearly just very clear that much.
Wow.
Wow. Chaos comes back.
I think we might
that was a
run out
close
of Tiberium here, Jeffrey. The harvesters have
Yeah,
moved
we're
up.
getting close. Yeah, no kidding. Oh, man, if only he'd pulled the Harvester onto the pads there. I was really hoping he would have, but
Yeah.
that was a close one.
And then again, this commander power doing nothing for most of the game. Like maybe I think
Right.
that reset, that Jade missile, did kind of help him, right? Because when they did that frantic replenish and the bikes came, he actually had a window where he could have won it right then and there, simply because the bikes are that fast. But he would have needed to move up, but he just didn't do that fast enough.
Oh, look at this. So Chaos is starting to pull this back, and Stealth Tank coming out, clearing out a Razorback, and the Razorback just not getting any value. Of course, there's no targets for it. But here we go. Jade Missile coming down. It's going to clear just about everything.
Oh, that was a good
But
one.
the Stealth Tank lives, and look
That
at this.
was a good one.
No. Chaos, that's all he needed. Jade giving you outs that you didn't know you deserved. And Chaos takes the game with it. Wow.
Wow. All right.
Man, that was wow, that was a chaotic game. There's no other way to put it. It was nuts. Wow.
That
was a really good showing from Fart Harder too, right? Like,
Yeah.
As we were saying at the beginning of the match there, the fact that Fart Harder was down 2 games, Chaos winning 2 in a row. I mean, obviously. Wait, hold on a minute. So, did we watch the games out of order? Because I feel like Chaos won 3 in a row there, didn't he? Or did he not?
Hang on. I can confirm this 1 second.
Unless I'm wrong. I might be getting it wrong. It's entirely possible. I just thought we might have watched them out of order.
We did watch them out of order, yeah, because one of the
Okay.
replays,
That's okay.
we had that issue with the double share.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. So what I'm getting
Yeah.
at is, and for all of you wondering, we watched so what's happened is the first 2 games were in Alliance chat, which is how we're doing these replays, and then the other ones, because the players shared them. By the way, I should mention this: if you're in
Yes.
Alliance Wars and your games are being streamed, do not share your replays. Don't do it, because then what Kenny does is he shares them to the Alliance chat, and when they're in Alliance chat, they're much easier to find. So that's part of the problem we're having here. So apologies,
Exactly.
but you know, well, we're learning as we go, and at the
Yeah.
same time, we're still showing you some great rivals. So,
We have an
but
alliance.
anyways, we should show the other 2 games, right?
One game, I think.
Is it
one
just one?
game.
Yeah,
It's just
we should
one
show
game.
it.
Yeah, we'll show it. Yeah, I just wanted to say we have an alliance that we've created especially for replays, where Kenny
That's
will go around, go to inspect every player, share that game to our replay alliance, so that we have a nice list, and then can spit them out one by one.
That's right.
All right,
It's
let's.
actually a pretty cool system. If I
Yeah,
have to say so
it's
myself.
a fantastic idea. It's genius. It was,
Yeah.
you know, it's so hard to find these players because there's no search function. So if you're not friends and you're not on a leaderboard, there is no contact, right? There's no way to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. Okay, so the last game here now, Jim Bob against Damien on Frozen Road, which will give us a little bit of a different map constellation, pad constellation for once.
Yeah, here we go. So we're going back to the series. Of course, we finished off at 2-2, so we're going to finish off on game number 5, and the only series that went to 5 games. So this should be really exciting. Like we saw in the previous games, Damien and Jim Bob are pretty two evenly matched players. So yeah, I'm expecting a real good firefight here.
We had a lot of back and forth on the other ones, and then here we go once again, Chuggy against Chemtrooper, right? It's that same deck that he previously won with, yeah. And then but he does have Inferno this time, right? I think it was Tank in the previous game. If I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I think you're correct.
Yeah.
Inferno's going to be really important.
Yeah. And if I'm right, when we had that, the Infernos won because he didn't make a Phantom fast enough. So I think maybe he'll have learned here, and we'll see some Phantom action. He definitely has the early game though, so he just has to commit to the Phantom soon enough before he can't not afford it.
Some Chem on Chem action here. We got the Chuggy coming out from Jim Bob, Chem Warriors from Damien, and really nice pullback there. Of course, you don't want to let the Chem Warriors take damage from the Chug. I mean, even though the Chem Warrior does survive a long time, you do want to protect that asset. So here we go. Although, having said that, we see he's getting melted there. Chem Warrior's going down slowly there, but still 2 models survive.
Yeah. That's the thing with Raider.
Raider just too good.
Exactly. But he's on all the pads here.
Oh, the missile is coming down to it. That little wheel is going to be a big problem here, and it looks like Jim Bob's going to sneak it. Oh, there it is. Man, that's the problem with leaving a single unit on a pad like that. Jim Bob being a real good player, though. He identified that opportunity, and he took it. So really well done there.
It was the little wheel that couldn't.
That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah. 100%.
And that wastant swap with Jim Bob, where Jim Bob gets damage out because of Raider, that is how you beat chems, and that's why against good players it's actually not doable, and you need laser drones because you weaken the lasers with chems, accept the damage, and then the laser drones clean up the Chuggy. That's usually how I play it.
Ooh, the Inferno tried to line up a double shot there. Does get 2 units there, but of course they were just single bike models, so not really too impactful. Really one of those Chem Warriors. Here we go, though. Chem Missile coming down. Oh, clearing out that right pad, but not the Harvester, actually. Well, actually doesn't do a lot of harm damage, so not surprised there. But anyways, the Inferno reloads, getting those 2 bikes there. He just needs to hold on to this middle pad, but he's going to be able to, Damien's going to be able to respond pretty quickly. Now he's got positioning. He's got the pad. Oh, there it is. Damien coming back, taking missile number 2.
Very nice. That's because those bikes are so fast. They block better than every other unit, except for, other bikes. Pretty much.
Yeah, right? Yeah, actually, a fun little fact for you. Squad-based units, their size of unit is actually bigger than a single-size unit because of the way the squad works. And on top of that, even if you go down to 1 model on your squad, it actually has the same hex occupation as a full squad. So
amazing information. Nice. And then, did you see that Jade missile? That is an experienced Jade player. He got down 3 clouds before shooting off that missile. At the last second, before the squad dies, onto those riflemen. Very nice play there.
It was. And you know what? It actually made him come back. So, but that said, look at this. Jade Missile is going to be all he needs. And
what
boom,
a fantastic final play there. He baited the Inferno onto his own base.
Yeah, can you imagine the look on Jim Bob's face when that happened? And then the Jade Missile coming down afterwards? Like, what a way to finish off that series. And it feels real bad, right? Because Jim Bob, he fought so hard, but then you lose to a Jade Missile like that. I mean, gosh, it's hard to control units at the best of times, like Stealth Tank and Inferno being reload units. It's just tough to make sure that they're not firing at the wrong thing. And with all that action going on, I mean, of course, it made sense, but then also it hit the base, and that did just enough for him to clear out the rest of it. So, wow. Really impressive game there. And Damien showing that Jade does give you outs. I mean, you saw it here, folks. It happened. So, yeah, really well played stuff. That was fantastic.
that was going out with a bang, man. It didn't need to happen, but it just made it so juicy. The Jade Missile was just 1 second afterwards. But yeah, great. I had a lot of fun this time, I have to say. The games were really good. Evenly matched. It was a good round. Good maps, good players. And you
Lots
know,
of good stuff, yeah.
and like Jade is unusual, right? You know, it's always
Yeah, totally.
it's always spectacular, and it spices things up a little bit. I'm glad that the players brought some different things to the party, and not just only Giga and only the go-to units.
Right.
So
yeah,
overall,
like we saw so many different decks. Like we
Yeah.
saw Tick Tank Seth, for God's sake. You know,
Yeah.
there's tons of good stuff in there. Yeah. I mean, you're right. There was so much variety in here, and that's the cool thing about tournaments, right? So if you've never played in a tournament before, like you get to know the map beforehand, so you can actually choose totally different decks that you might not ever choose, and it gives you a lot of different options because on ladder you have to play on the same map, so you tend to pick decks that are good on multiple maps, right? Whereas here you know the map, so you can craft a deck specifically for it, and we saw that a little bit, like with that Jump Jet Sniper, Dog Pitbull, I think it was Talon Orca, if I remember correctly. You know, there's just some interesting decks that we saw, and yeah, I agree with you. It made it for a really exciting game.
Yep. I had a lot of fun, Jeffrey. Thank you so much for coming
Hey,
on
my
board,
pleasure.
and that we managed to pull this off on such short notice. That's kind of the reason why
Yeah.
we started so late, because I'll be gone soon, and then Jeffrey and I have such a massive time difference, being West
do,
Coast North America to Central Europe is pretty crazy. It's a little bit easier with Blade because that 1 hour does make a difference. It's almost
does, yeah.
it's almost 3 a.m. here. So I have to get packing. Man, I had a lot of fun. Thanks for coming out. Thanks to Legion. Thanks to Kenny. Thanks to the viewers. And thanks to for everyone that played. We have a big fat pot, right? What is it? At like 500.
Oh.
Massive
Around
prize
there,
pool. And all the vanity. I mean, if you didn't have enough reasons to get in on all this Legion action, you should definitely sign up next time. It's a lot of fun. And yeah,
Totally.
with that, I will say good night, and we will see each other next time.
Absolutely.
After-
yeah, catch us
after
next
Blade.
time. We're so just a quick recap here. So the next match that we're going to be streaming, it's going to be a juicy one, folks. You're not
Ooh.
going to want to miss this. This is going to be Time to Die All Stars versus the Duchies.
Oh,
And
yes.
So if you have a moment, go and look at their rosters. For anybody who knows any of the competitive players, this is going to be one to look out for. So catch us next time, and we'll be streaming that one.
All right. Good night, my dudes. See you next time.
Take care, everybody.